Hey guys, welcome to Off the Cliff, where we do the homework so you don't have to. So today we're going to be doing something a little bit different. We're going to be like the GOAT themselves, chappies, and take a look at the most 8 mind-blowing facts about the girl who puts the super in girl. Okay, so before we cut right into the meat of this video, we're just gonna take a quick 1-2 recap on who she is, just so we can catch you up. So, Supergirl, real name Kara Zoe, is Superman's cousin. And just like Superman, she gets her powers from Earth's yellow sun. And comes with the standard flight, super strength, laser eye beams, cold breath, super speed, yada 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 yada. But yes, sort of the same power structure, except her power is actually more fueled by raw emotion and unresolved trauma. And in order to do this video justice, we have to start with the one fact that a lot of people actually miss. So, shall we? Number 1. Kara is older than Superman. Although she looks younger, Kara Zoe was actually born 15 to 16 years before Kal-El, making her older. She aged normally on Krypton. However, during Krypton's destruction, her parents, father Zor-El, Jor-El's brother and father to Superman, and her mother Allura sent Kara to Earth to protect Kal-El. However, things went wrong, as they usually do. Kara's pod was knocked off course and fell into a wormhole or portal leading to the Phantom Zone, leaving her trapped and in stasis for decades. While in stasis, time did pass normally for everybody else, and during that time she was trapped in the Phantom Zone, Kal-El made it to Earth, was raised as Clark Kent in Kansas, and became Superman. Anyways, when Kara finally made it on Earth, she was physically still a teenager, but chronologically she was way older than Superman. Number 2. Kara is stronger than Superman. And no, I'm not talking about no held back version, I'm talking full-blown confrontation. Let me explain. While Superman is typically portrayed as Earth's strongest hero, there are several storylines that DC has put out where Kara, aka Supergirl, has defeated Superman multiple times. The first and obvious example, though not my personal favorite, was in the CW TV show SuperGirl, particularly season 2 finale. Nevertheless, she's persistent. In this episode, she fights an out-of-control Superman and knocks him out cold. She wins the fight while he's at full strength under silver kryptonite-induced mind control and knocks him the f*** out.
Oh, shit! That's not my pop! You got knocked the fuck out!
Yeah. Just like that. Another instance is in Elseworlds comic Supergirl Breaking the Chain. In this storyline, due to kryptonite poisoning, Supergirl believes she was raised to kill Superman and is depicted standing over his bloody corpse after defeating him. The last example we have for you today was when Superman himself admitted that she is actually stronger. In the comic book Action Comics issue number 282, Superman himself stated that Supergirl is mightier than I am, implying that at the very least, narratively, she has the potential to actually be stronger than him or has been stronger than him. Number 3. Brainiac personally murdered her entire city. In the modern continuity, which is more or less based on the 2008 Geoff Johns and Gary Frank Brainiac story arc, which is also more or less based on the comic book Action Comics issue number 869, Brainiac shrank Argo City, which is the city that Kara comes from, and put it in a bottle, then let it die. So, the story is basically this. Argo City survives Krypton's explosion because Zor-El uses Brainiac's tech to create a protective dome. Brainiac later tracks down Argo City and then integrates Argo City into his bottle collection of civilization, which is part of the city of Kandor. His preservation method basically kills a whole lot of people in Argo City. Side fact, did you know that this is actually a retcon? It was meant to tie SuperGirl's story into Brainiac's atrocities, in other words giving us a little bit more of a leverage to why she hates him. My speculation is that this is more or less the adaptation that DCU is gonna go for in terms of SuperGirl's adaptation in her movie coming out this year, 2026, and Superman's Man of Tomorrow movie coming out next year in 2027. Number 4. SuperGirl, aka Red Daughter. Now, just a little bit of nuance on this one. The CW TV show made several episodes featuring Red Daughter. However, this was more or less inspired by the comic book Superman Red Sun, released in 2003. The actual original Red Daughter is a Supergirl who is part of the Red Lantern Corps. The original Red Daughter made her first appearance in the comic books Supergirl Volume 5, Red Daughter of Krypton. In this comic book, after her devastating battles in space, Supergirl returns to Earth emotionally broken, struggling with grief, isolation, and betrayal after losing Krypton and failing to find her place on Earth. When Lobo provokes her into unleashing her suppressed anger, she attracts and is transformed by a Red Lantern ring, becoming powered by pure rage. Basically all ends when Guy Gardner encourages her to leave the Red Lantern Corps and she returns to Earth as a, better hero. Number 5. Power Girl is literally her. And I mean her as in the same person, not her. Power Girl is Kara Zoe from Earth 2, home of the Justice Society of America. She debuts in the comic book All-Star Comics issue number 58, released in 1976. Number 6. Lois Lane is actually the first Supergirl. So, the concept of Supergirl actually appeared way before Kara Zoe was even a thing. The first example was when Lois Lane gained powers and became Superwoman in the comic book Action Comics issue number 60, released in 1943. In this comic book, after being hit by a truck, Lois Lane falls into a coma, and while under anesthesia, she dreams that she receives a life-saving blood transfusion from Superman, which grants her superpowers. In her dream, Lois Lane creates a costume which features a Superman logo and begins her hero career. The story basically ends with Lois Lane just waking up and discovering that it was just that, a dream. Number 7, and I sincerely apologize for this one. There is a comic where Supergirl dates her own horse Comet. The bizarre romance between Supergirl and her horse are actually detailed in several issues of the Action Comics. In the Silver Age Action Series comics, particularly in 2 issues, starting with issue number 301 released in 1963, titled The Secret Identity of Superhorse. In this issue, Comet the horse transforms into a human, joins the rodeo, and shares a passionate kiss with Supergirl as Linda Danvers after she rescues him from a rampaging bull. Anyways, just so we don't have to continue with this uncomfortable story, Action Comics in issue number 390 just basically summarizes all this information as a giant compendium of this creepy ass story. Anyways, number 8. Her death changed DC's editorial policy. Supergirl's death in the 1985 limited series Crisis on Infinite Earth triggered a very strict, nearly 20-year editorial policy in DC Comics. This editorial policy had several long-term effects. Post-Crisis on Infinite Earth, Superman's origin story was retold in the 1986 miniseries The Man of Steel. In this editorial policy, it directed that Kara Zoe, Krypton the Superdog, and the Bottle City of Kandor did not exist in the new universe. So basically, after her death on Infinite Crisis in 1985, DC implemented a very unwritten secret rule: no more killing core legacy female heroes for dramatic shock. Her death was so impactful, it literally changed how DC treats its female heroes. So hey, you go girl. So, Basically, Supergirl is a convolution of a whole lot of information that, like I said, you probably should have known as a self-proclaimed nerd. But I'm glad you got to stay with us and discover these weird facts with me. Jeez. Anyways, those were the 8 most shocking and mind-blowing facts about Supergirl that you probably didn't even know. And if you did, kudos to you. I guess you're not just a self-proclaimed nerd. Thank you so much for joining me on today's episode of Off the Cliff. As always, I'm Cliff, you're a nerd. Stay tuned for more on mzansinerds.